Hello, world. Welcome to Pardon the Politics podcast, season 2, episode 16. I am your co-host, Jeezy, along with my partner and my brother in politics, Manny. My brother, how are you doing on this fine day?
Man, it's another day the Lord has made, so I'm going to rejoice and be glad
be glad in it. Yes, sir. Hey, man, glad to be with you again, recording another episode. Want to say welcome to our listeners that are tuning in to episode 16. Hope that this episode finds you in good spirits as we come off of Easter Sunday. So happy Easter to those
Easter
that observe and celebrate the holiday. How's your Easter going, brother?
Man, my Easter is going well. You know, Easter is definitely one of those holidays you want to sit back and reflect on the sacrifice of Jesus for all of us. And, you know, I've done that a lot this Easter season.
Okay.
But now that we've got, hit that point, let's talk about the Easter Bunny. I don't know exactly where he came from, but he brings this thing, eggs.
Yeah.
My child has been asking for the last couple days, is it Easter? Is the Easter Bunny coming? And I'm just like, yeah, he'll be here. But since we're talking about the Easter Bunny and Easter eggs, let's talk about Easter. Oh, and to everyone listening, this is a Manny rant.
Uh-oh. We got another Manny rant.
We got a Manny rant. So all this talk about Easter and the Easter Bunny and eggs got me thinking about how we're currently in this situation. And I thought to myself, what is the current state of egg prices? Oh. Because that was top of everyone's mind on election day. Oh, well, I'm supporting Trump because of the cost of eggs. Mm-hmm. Have you seen the cost of eggs? And I went and did some research, geez.
Okay.
Did some research. And the week of November 9th, ending November 9th, wholesale price for a dozen eggs was $4.46.
Okay.
And retail price was $6.23.
Jeez.
And them were high prices.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Them were high prices.
The eggs too high.
Too high. Yeah, we could have almost started a new party called the Eggs Too Damn High Party. And I was like, okay, but how's it progressed? So I went and looked, and it kind of progressed all the way through. Mm-hmm. So do you realize by the time that Donald Trump was inaugurated that week, eggs retail had come down to $4.
Okay.
And then
wholesale.
No, retail.
Oh,
retail.
okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Retail is down to $4. Wholesale, it was at $2.80.
Okay.
And then I watched that progress down to this last week. Mm-hmm. I went into Lowe's Foods and I saw eggs right around $1.80.
Okay. So we back to normal.
Back to normal. And I was like, what did Donald Trump do? Did he do anything?
What did he do? Inform the people, Manny, because this is on the hearts and minds of our listeners as to how these egg prices came down.
The biggest thing that they did is they started importing eggs from a couple other countries. And I was like, oh, okay. That must have helped. But I look and I see no real help on the prices.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And then I was just like, well, what happened? Oh, the bird flu finished. And now we're into my rant.
Uh-oh.
The price of eggs were as high as they were because we had the bird flu going through the country and farmers having to take out all of these birds.
Bruh.
And guess what? They just had more chickens. They went and got more chickens. They hatched more chickens.
So they repopulated
the supply chain, and we're back down to normal.
So it wasn't anything that Trump did.
If anything, the tariffs he added on at the end might have made it worse for any of the eggs that we were importing. But you're talking about they had to kill off over 30 million egg-laying birds in early 2025. That's a lot of birds.
Yeah.
But conveniently, wing prices seem to be not affected.
Hey, I was about to say, wait a minute.
Wing prices unaffected.
What did they do? What did they do with all these birds once they off? Did they?
So I think back to all the people who were like, it's about egg prices. That's why I'm voting for Trump. So y'all voted for Trump because of supply chain concerns that he did nothing to help. Cool. So we are going to spend the rest of this episode talking about the individual who we as the United States decided to elect to correct a problem that was already correcting itself, and that person did nothing to actually help.
So what did we give up for the price of eggs?
I think we about to find out. We about to find out.
Was it really worth it?
Was it really worth it?
A problem that was already going to self-correct itself.
Was it really worth it?
Bruh, Jesus Christ.
Hey. So think about that, America. Next time you have an omelet, egg McMuffin, egg salad. This is the taste of freedom.
This tastes like democracy.
Winning.
Bigly.
Bruh. I'm so fed up.
Bruh, that is insane. And when you mentioned this, when you during pre-production about these eggs, it made me think about that. I had an individual one time that was having a conversation telling me about why he was voting for Trump, and it was this one single issue. And I was like, do you understand the issue?
And I get it. They're single issue voters.
Oh, there is.
This has got to be one of the wildest single issues.
Oh,
how often do you eat eggs? For eggs to be your issue, you have to eat eggs every meal.
I am an egg lover myself, and I did not care enough.
Not enough
to forego my vote just because I cared about them eggs. But nah, man, that is crazy. So. Well, we know what type of time.
Here we are.
You're gonna be on this episode, so hopefully, now the egg prices are down, Waffle House will take that surcharge away.
Nah, I know we got to adjust it to it.
But now I ain't even gonna fret. When I seen that on the menu, I was like, "Oh, that's wild."
Wow,
it's on my sandwich. Still. Well. Happy
Welcome,
Easter,
listeners.
Happy Easter, everybody that celebrated. And as a good song says, Jesus is my Easter bunny.
Bro, I heard that song in a minute.
Bro, Jesus is my Easter bunny. So,
shout out to all the church dads that are pulling out their zoot suit.
Oh, bro, the white, the nice cream,
the hat
all the
ministry.
pastel colors. Yep, the hat ministry.
The women's hat ministry is about to be on point on Sunday.
The various amount of stockings that are being worn, the haircuts that have been given, both in barbershops and in what I call kitchen cuts. To the ones that get their hair cut by their dad in the kitchen in a chair.
Right. And shout out to all the kids under the age of 12 that are getting ready to get woken up. Probably about 4 o'clock in the morning and taking the sunrise service.
Oh, bruh.
Every year from when I was like 6 to I had to be like 15, 16. Every year. To the point I have not gone to a sunrise service since I've been an adult.
I don't think I have either.
I've been scarred. Jesus got up so I could lay down. Thank you.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was about to say. But just because he got up at that time don't mean that I got to.
I can't do everything the Lord does. And I accept that. And he knows that.
I was created in his image, but I ain't him.
Not by a long shot.
Not by a long shot. So shout out to all those observing Easter. And also I want to give a shout out to Murr's hair wax. There's some kid getting his hair laid down for Easter Sunday at the expense of Murray. So shout out to Murr's.
Still celebrating
your 100 years.
We ain't forgot here at the pod.
And for those that are getting Easter baskets, I just want to say, screw that Easter grass. That is the most annoying grass that I ever have seen in my life.
Brad, no purpose.
Bro, it serves absolutely no purpose. It is the most annoying aspect of a basket that I have ever seen. So
Facts.
that's part of my rant for Easter. But nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and move along and get into our topics for today. And unfortunately, this first topic isn't something that brings us any joy or satisfaction whatsoever. So we want to turn our attentions to a couple of things that have happened in Florida this past week. But starting off, we want to talk about on the 17th, there was a mass shooting that occurred at Florida State University in Tallahassee, and it resulted in the death of 2 individuals and injuries, I believe, at this point, of 6 others. The suspect was a 20-year-old Florida State University student, and he was apprehended, so he's still alive.
Got caught. Yeah.
He was shot by police, but he's currently being hospitalized. The weapons that he used were multiple firearms, including a handgun, a shotgun, and another firearm that was found in his vehicle. It was reported that the police responded swiftly, which they ended up shooting him for not complying with their commands. So I want to shout out the police department that responded as swiftly as they possibly could, and this incident did not go to the magnitude of being worse than what it already was. Yeah. The 2 individuals that were deceased were Robert Morales, which was a 53-year-old university dining coordinator and alumni. And there was a 45-year-old regional vice president of Airmark that was from Greenville, South Carolina, Taru Chuba. I may be pronouncing his name wrong, but apologies to his family. But these 2 individuals were the 2 that were deceased. Out of the 6 individuals that were injured, 5 were by gunfire and 1 was by fleeing the incident. So, the history around this, apparently this individual, Manny, had a troubled past. He had some issues with childhood custody disputes, and he also expressed some extremist views. He was previously expelled from a university debate club for trying to basically push some white supremacist crap during a debate.
You don't say.
Bro. And the weird thing about this is that he actually participated it was in Leon County. He actually participated in Leon County Sheriff's Youth Advisory Council, and he had access through these firearms through his stepmother. I believe his stepmother works for the county police department.
And I believe it was his stepmother's handgun that he actually used in the shooting.
Oh, okay.
My understanding.
So, as you know, as we already said, our thoughts and prayers to those that have been affected, not just those that are deceased, but those that have been injured, and those that are just all around surrounded around this issue, this incident that may be traumatized or have to kind of pick up the pieces moving forward, as I believe classes have been canceled. Actually, they may be, I wonder if they're done, because I mean, the semester's technically about to end. But regardless, just that happening, kind of just anytime this happens is the worst time. But you have graduation, I'm sure, that's about to come up, and finals, and something like this is just terrible. But as we know, as always, when these events happen, there's always talk surrounded about what comes up with these events, and the first thing we already know is a call for gun reform. So the debate comes up again about gun control, especially firearms for those individuals with extremist views. And I got a question for you, Manny. We see Trump so pressed, and we'll talk about this in the next segment, but how he's attacking individuals with certain views on certain campuses. Is this not the same thing? Does this not fall under the same wheelhouse or umbrella of someone with extremist ideology committing such a crime?
Yeah, it says. And I think when we talk about the gun control piece of it, it is going to be very interesting looking at this case long term, is to see what happened, if it was the stepmother's weapon that was used in this tragedy. And just for our viewers, we're not going to say the individual's name. We're not going to give him any more shine than he deserves to have, which is none. But what is the responsibility of gun owners? You know, this is your service weapon. You carry this every day. So if how are you being held responsible for not keeping your weaponry under proper control and assessment and protection? And it's sad. You know, Trump made a comment where, and it's a Trump-esque comment where he said, the gun doesn't do the shooting, the people do. Yes, if I take a handgun and I set it down right in front of me, unless something happens, that gun is not going to fire. So why are we not taking the step? Y'all, just so y'all know, this is an episode of ranting. At any moment, me or Jeezy is going to break out into a rant. That's where we are today. If we know that people are doing the shooting, why are we not checking them out before they get in vicinity of guns? Now, I know this was not his gun, so any type of background checks would not have per se flagged him. But we're looking at responsibility for gun owners. What is your responsibility? Did the stepmother report the gun as stolen or whatnot? Like, why? But in general, in terms of preventing other things, what are we doing to make sure that the people who have access to these weapons are people we can overwhelmingly trust? With these weapons. You know, one of the things that I remember being told as I was learning to drive, you drive for 3 people as you drive. You drive for yourself, you drive for your passengers, and you drive for everyone around you. When you go to, from my standpoint, when you go to buy a gun, you not only have to make sure that it's secure, not only for your own safety, but for the people in your household, but also the people around you. And I don't, again, the full details of what happened, but it sounds like this gun was not protected for the people around them. And there needs to be some serious accountability for it that needs to happen.
I agree, man. And the thing that's odd for me when you think about this gun control, critics have pointed at the fact that, and we have seen it with Florida, that Florida has been making an effort to actually ease their gun restrictions. Which, you know, when you see events like this happen, you know, it leads to the question of are they aiding or driving legislation to promote responsibility and gun control and gun reform? They're looking at lowering the firearm purchase age from 21 to 18. I don't understand how, if you don't trust a 18-year-old to buy alcohol, why do you trust an 18-year-old to buy a gun? If you're not going to let 18-year-olds be able to legally drink, it's 21. And the reason why it's 21 is responsibility, right? Okay, if that is the case, then why do we think that a 18-year-old is just as responsible of maintaining a gun, a firearm, but he's not responsible enough to drink?
A great question.
And I think, what is the age for the buying tobacco?
In most cases, it's 18, but there have been pushes
to bump it up, right?
Yeah, bump it up to 21. So
I don't think that an 18-year-old, and I'm just thinking, I don't own a firearm at the current moment, but that will be changing. So if you're a listener, you think you can try me and my family, you got a very short window to do so.
Try
get that hot steel.
Try Jesus. Don't try me.
But I think in my mindset at 18, where I was at, I don't believe that I was a responsible teenager, but I most certainly wouldn't think that I would be responsible enough to hold a gun or manage a gun.
I think at 18, I was responsible enough to handle a gun, to use a gun, but definitely the care that I would take now with a firearm is vastly different than what I would have done at 18. I wouldn't have been thinking about locks and cables and storage. I'm like, nah, I just need the piece. I need to be able to access it. Like, part of that is becoming a father, but part of that is just aging. So
I agree. It's weird to me because when I look at the generation and I always say this and I feel old, but when I look at this generation of kids, do I feel that they're more responsible than I was at 18 to 21? Absolutely not. So
comparable, if best.
I do not. I have a 17-year-old. I don't believe that my 17-year-old is as responsible as I was when I was 17-year-old. So I have to ask myself when I see these laws, okay, do I think that at 18, when I was 18, I should have had the responsibility of having a firearm? No. So do I believe that this generation? Heck no. I just don't believe they are responsible. And I'm not saying that the whole generation. There are some young teenagers that are very responsible individuals. But when we look over the totality of this age group, I just don't think that that's promoting gun responsibility.
Well, and before anyone gets upset, if you ask every generation to look back on did Gen X look back on us and say, oh, yeah, 18-year-olds, we trust millennials with guns?
Oh,
no.
exactly.
I'm almost certain that boomers did not look on Gen X and say, 18, y'all could. No, it is. So maybe if it is something recurring like that, maybe we just all agree that 18-year-olds shouldn't be able to do this thing. But I'm going to let y'all cook. I'm going to let y'all cook.
I just don't, that's just my view on it. But also from that, the talks that they have expressed is the concerns over this extreme ideology, which I was speaking on before. The history of this individual, he's been very far right, racist and homophobic in his views, and it's actually raised concerns about the presence of this ideology on college campuses. So to the point that I was talking about before. He's been expelled from university debate clubs because of the rhetoric that he wants to push. So when you see Trump making such an effort to these individuals that we've seen, locked up, because of their views, how does this get handled? I think he made a comment last week about homegrown terrorists or something. He said.
Yep.
May I point you to this individual?
Is he on his way to El Salvador?
Hey,
get him on a plane to El Salvador.
Trump wants to
send the worst there. Send him to El Salvador. Since you want to send U.S. citizens to El Salvador, we found the first one. Come on, load him up. We
got your first example, and so I'm interested in how this is handled because this is what you spoke of. We have a clear prime example of it right here. So I want to know how his administration views this. This is in Florida, is his area. That's
the Santa's country.
That's up under his territory. So I wonder how this will be handled. But ultimately, in the conversations that have come around this incident, it's something that we talked about before in a previous episode, and that's mental health.
Yeah,
this individual had a troubled past. And had some mental health issues, but here we go having an individual again having access to weaponry, to firearms, though he may not be in the best of health mentally. And these things are always going to come up, but one thing about it, they always come up, but nothing seems to change.
Nothing.
And that is the sad nature of our world and our country, that these are just the norm. That the incidents are becoming almost desensitizing, where we're so just used. I believe this is the 81st massive shooting that's happened. I can't remember the time frame, but again, 81 is too many. of individuals either losing loved ones or being directly or indirectly impacted. And we have it now in our system where kids have to be trained on what to do when these events occur, and that's not a way for us to live.
No.
I have my 5-year-old is in pre-K, and just the fact of her, and it's just a norm for her. She's not thinking about it. She's 4, excuse me. She just think, oh, we're just doing a drill. But for me to process that, wow, my 4-year-old has to go through a drill
practice for the scenario
in case a shooter comes into school. And I'm like, I remember being in school, the only thing we ever worried about was tornado drills and fire drills, and that was it.
And on that note, what were those tornado drills going to do?
Break my back.
Bro, me sitting with that book over my head. What was it going to do?
Break my back. My whole spine is exposed in this hallway. This is ceiling come down. I never understood. Bro, I think I might have been like in the 5th grade when we were doing those drills, and it just came to me, if this whole ceiling just fell. First of all, this building is brick. Bro, my head is covered. But my whole spine is exposed.
Neck meat.
Bruh, if this ceiling come down, it's tearing my spine off. So now what you're saying is that preserve my brain, but his body, it can go.
They got to check if you got CTE.
So you mean to tell me this drill is at best is gonna get me to Christopher Reeves? That's what you're telling me.
Yes.
At best, Christopher Reeves. At worst, dead. Okay. Yeah, this is a good drill to have for public school elementary kids. Okay, bruh. Who made these drills up?
I just got questions. I need to speak to them.
Have you, in fact, sir, been through this drill yourself?
Right. What is the success rate of what if I have an encyclopedia, but my boy over here has an English book? Like, does the density of the book? There's got to be numbers and statistics. We're the MythBusters.
First of all, Manny, your school did good because when I grew up, we didn't have books. It was our hands. You mean to tell me, bruh? You mean to tell me that for some reason, if I combine my hands, you mean to tell me, bruh, that 8 of these knuckles is gonna protect the ceiling coming down on the back of my head?
Yep,
bro. We have no protection over us whatsoever, and the teacher just walking back and forth. She already dead.
Right. Shouldn't she be down too? Like,
bro. So in the 3rd grade, I have no. So if I do survive, I have no guidance to get out of here.
Nope. Just holla,
bro. We got to do something. We got to be better, bro. We got to do better. Our children deserve better, bro. But this incident is just unfortunate. The same conversations are going to keep coming up. It's always going to be thoughts and prayers, but there's never changes. And it's just sad to see that in an area that's trying to push legislation to make it even easier for individuals to purchase firearms. It's just tragic. So,
well, I remember. Here we go, Manny rant number 3. We on a roll with these today.
Yes, sir.
So, why does the Second Amendment even exist? Like, it exists because if our founding fathers and those early settlers, if government ever got too big where they started disobeying laws and kidnapping people and not listening to the people, that we are able to rise up as a country and take down the government. What's happening right now?
Mm-hmm.
I know somebody who just got kidnapped. I don't know them, but I can give you the name of a person who's been kidnapped by the U.S. government. I can name government officials who are actively not listening to our checks and balances.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been told that it's for moments like those. Mm-hmm. So I'm just waiting for the militias, like at this point, because I'm now seeing it. Like, and I've seen people flip out over less things here in the U.S. So some of these egregious things that we're right now seeing coming out of the administration, I would expect that there would be some level of uprising. I believe even right now, there's a big protest happening in mid New York against Donald Trump and Elon Musk. You know, this is what I was told why we needed the guns.
Yep.
Is to be able to fight back against government when they start doing unconstitutional things. So,
that Constitution,
what are we going to see?
That Constitution been put in the been
Man, a pickle,
bro. That we might have to make the Constitution a pickle, bro. Because it's getting them words are getting twisted and stretched and distorted in all sorts of ways, man. But you know, with everything, sticking with Florida, first, before we move on, I just want to say again, as we have said, our thoughts and prayers are to those that are impacted, and I hope that you can feel and understand in our coverage of this incident that, you know, we are very passionate about change in this area that is beneficial for all those that are involved, not just the gun toters, those that possess guns, but those who don't, and the safety of every individual. Manny made a beautiful point earlier that I want to bring back. When we all got our driver's license, it was the safety that we learned wasn't necessarily for us; it was for the safety of everyone around us. So we have to be mindful when we make these laws and we do these things with adjustments to the legislation, that we think about first the people around us, not just necessarily us. Think about the individuals around you and the safety of those lives, because that's somebody's brother, uncle, niece, nephew, aunt. You know, these are loved ones. I don't know these two individuals that died, but that's somebody that could have been somebody's father, grandfather. And that's unfortunate that a family has to pick up the pieces and move forward without their loved one because of the actions of an individual for whatever reason. And maybe we'll find out what his reasonings are, because he's still alive.
He's still here with us. And again, if there's ever an event and a bad guy with a gun pops up, I want there to be a good guy with the gun. I do. I think everyone does. So this is not about taking guns away from people, but this is promoting responsible gun ownership that we need to get back to. And sometimes totally responsible gun ownership means some people shouldn't have them.
Bingo. Everybody doesn't need access. But that's another topic for another day. So in the same week of this incident happening, we had another deportation hiccup. Not surprising.
Oh, no.
On the 16th, 20-year-old Juan Carlos Lopez Gomez, a U.S.-born citizen from Georgia.
Like, when you say U.S., you mean United States, right?
Yes, sir.
Of America?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Which America?
I believe this one.
Okay. All right. And when you say Georgia, where the state, right below us, right?
Yes, sir.
About 5-hour drive from us, right?
Yes, sir.
Not Georgia, the country, correct?
No, not the Republic. Not the Republic of Georgia.
Okay,
the state of Georgia.
I just wanted to make
clarity.
Sure.
Yes, sir. For clarity. And shout out to the Republic of Georgia, because y'all got some good food. Because Supra and DC. If you ever get a chance, go to Supra and DC. And Jesus.
Tell them you heard about it. Tell them you heard about it on the Pardon the Politics podcast. Supra's in DC, man.
Man, that's some good food. It is food from the Republic of Georgia. But we are talking about the state.
Okay, the state.
So this U.S.-born citizen from Georgia was a passenger. Understand it now. I want y'all to get these details. Was a passenger in a vehicle pulled over by the Florida Highway Patrol near the Georgia-Florida border. The driver was cited for speeding. So Brother Juan was the passenger, did not commit the infraction.
Just passenger side of the best friend's ride.
He was a passenger princess. Now, the driver was cited for speeding. Juan being the passenger, despite presenting his Georgia state ID, guess what? He was arrested. And he was arrested under Florida's SB 4C law, which criminalizes undocumented immigrants entering the state. U.S. born, had his ID, didn't even commit a crime. He was he was just in the passenger. Bro, first of all, I want to say this: if I'm riding in the passenger seat,
you ain't got it, but no business talking to me.
Bruh, I had that happen to me one time in New Jersey. I wasn't even driving. I was sitting in the passenger seat. Cop was talking to the driver. Cool. We weren't even doing anything, actually. But that's a whole nother thing. We got pulled over being black on a Friday. That's a whole nother story. So the cop started talking to me and was like, ID. I'm like, ID? I'm not driving. I'm not even, you ain't even talking to me. I don't even understand why that's even possible, why that even happens, but it happens. But if that was the case, and I was riding passenger, and because you were speeding, I end up getting detained by ICE. I'm gonna have to see you when I get out.
Oh yeah. Oh, told me to stay under the speeding.
I got hands and feet for you. Had you not been speeding, I would have just been locked up by ICE. So he got arrested under Florida's SB 4C law, which criminalizes undocumented immigrants entering the state. However, that law has been temporarily blocked by a federal judge earlier in April. So the law,
so not even actually a law,
bro. The law's on ICE. Figuratively.
Yeah. I was. That was nice. I watched that play.
That was nice.
That was nice. But see, and it's under also my understanding that he just didn't provide them a license. He gave them their social security card and his birth certificate.
Bro, that's wild.
I don't carry these documents. I have my license, obviously. I don't carry around my social security card or my birth certificate. So the fact that he's still under an ICE hold, that he was under an ICE hold after presenting all of these documents is dumb. Right. And I don't know who to blame right now. I don't know if I want to blame ICE. I don't know if I want to blame the Florida State Patrol.
Right.
But
somebody got to
somebody got to provide a clarification.
Now this is the crazy thing. He was locked up in the jail for 2 days. At the direction of ICE in the same county that this shooting happened. So this was the same exact county that this happened in. And during his court appearance, his mother presented his birth certificate and his social security card confirming his U.S. citizenship. The judge acknowledged the authenticity of these documents and found no probable cause for the charge. They said the judge held them joints up, bruh. like how you try to hold up a bill up to the light because you really don't want to open it, but you can't tell if it's a bill or a check. Like, let me hold this up to the light. Let me see if I see any red writing.
Nope, I ain't gotta open it.
So the judge, he said these documents were authentic and there was no cause for the charge. However, the judge stated that she lacked the jurisdiction to release him due to ICE.
I mean, the judge technically did the correct thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did the right thing, but definitely did the correct thing. But it's like, what else do you need?
Bro, like, I'm going to tell you right now. I don't carry some of these documents around with me.
No.
If you tell me you need my social security card, bro, I got about 3 places I can check that I can go look to see where it's at. But I certainly don't have them in my vehicle.
Absolutely not.
So then if this gentleman, from the details, it looks like he presented his ID at the traffic stop, what information did the police officers go off of to say he was undocumented? If you say, hey, we need proof of your citizenship, and we say we need your birth certificate, bro, that is a wild law that I gotta ride around with. First of all, nobody should be riding around with their birth certificate in their car.
No one.
That is wild.
No one.
But what was it that prompted them to say, "Oh yeah, he's undocumented"? If all he had was his actual state ID.
I know what it was. It was Juan Carlos Lopez Gomez.
Bro, they see
They
they
said,
seen all them names. They say,
they
"Yep,
said, oh,
get them." But even
if one of those names had his
William
name
Jones,
Jason, Carl, Larry,
Juan Carlos Thompson, he would have been. They would have been
he'd been
like,
good. All right,
this
Thompson.
reminds me of that episode of Family Guy where they pulled Peter over and they had that car with all them colors on. They was like, "Oh yeah, have a good night,
safe,
sir."
Safe, not safe. Yep.
Yeah, bro. Like, what is it about this man besides his name? And if that is the case, bro, let's say that is the precedence that we're setting. That is wild. That is wild that you can be detained by 2 days while ICE checks you out to see whether you good or not. They check you out to see whether you're good or not just because of your name. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, nobody's walking around with their Social Security card. Nobody's walking around with their birth certificate. If the man has a state ID, then first of all, stop. The man didn't commit a crime. The man was sitting on the passenger seat.
The only question I have, was it a regular ID or was it a real ID? Because if it was a real ID that he presented,
that should be good enough.
I'm about to be upset for a whole nother reason about me having to take an entire day off work, have to drive halfway across the damn state to get a real ID appointment, to get a real ID. If y'all not going to pay attention to the real ID and the U.S. government has to validate what a real ID is and who can get them, what are we doing all of this for? We're doing a whole lot of work for no actual gain.
Bro, ridiculous. So yeah, he was released. Good. He was reunited with his mother, so they did release him. I know his mama had to be elated because I know had that been my mama, she would have probably been sitting up there in jail with me because she had to come up in there with that birth certificate to prove that her baby was legal, and she knew what she did to kid. I bared you for 9 months, and they gonna try to say that you weren't born here. Oh yeah, my mama would have fought tooth and nail.
But now the question is, how many other people are sitting in this situation that we don't know about right now?
Bruh, bingo. This just shines a light that we've already spoken about how this deportation situation is just it's out of hand.
Yep.
And I just don't understand what is the guardrails to this deportation thing. If we're just picking and plucking people and doing this and doing that, bro, this is wrong. Let's say this gentleman was a standout individual, never got in any trouble, never got in any issues with the police, been a good kid, graduated high school, working a decent job, just trying to make an honest living, a stand-up individual, a stand-up citizen of this country, which we want all individuals to be. And he just had to go through a 48-hour traumatic situation, being held for no reason. And all he gets is, oh, hey, sorry about that.
For trying to go to work.
Bro. Wild. That is wild, bro. Like, insane. So that just goes to... What are we doing with this deportation thing? Where are the guardrails to this? What is the process? Because if we're just picking and plucking people off the street because they got a Hispanic name, bro, that is wild. That is insane. If we just pulling people because they look a certain way, that's insane.
We about to have a whole bunch of people go change their names.
Bruh. Facts.
That's what I would do.
Bruh, I'm about to be, bruh, if I'm Hispanic, brother, you gonna pull my ID, my name gonna be Antoine Fisher.
Robert Williams.
Bruh, I'm about to have the craziest name. Sir Julian of Walgreens. Bruh, I got
Austin Kennedy III. Bruh, what?
Bruh, I'm about to change my name crazy, bro. Because if y'all gonna pull me just because you see Juan, Gomez, Carlos, bro, nah, man, I can't do it. This is just shining that light on a situation, and that leads me to our other situation with the guy that's from Maryland.
Yeah,
his situation, same thing. We saw how the Trump and the El Salvadorian president sat there, and something about that El Salvadorian president, I don't like him, bro.
Could it be the fact that he's a dictator?
Okay.
That might be it.
He give off a vibe, brother, and I'm like,
he came in there talking. He's like, "Yeah, I'm the world's coolest dictator." What, sir?
Man,
Sir, no,
bruh.
no. Like,
And for what I understand from what when he got into office, he kind of pulled some Trump-esque stuff too, where he was just like pulling people. Like if you look like you might have had a gang affiliation,
yoink,
yanking them right off. But when he sat there and talked about homie that was from Maryland, he was like, yeah, we went from being like the criminal central of the world to now El Salvador is safe. And he's like, I'm not in the business of just pulling criminals. And I'm like, what crime did this man commit?
bruh.
And then I look and you see on Fox, and this is stuff that is here go rant. This is stuff that be pissing me. This stuff that be pissing me off. This one I got a lot of problem. I can't remember what the dude name on Fox is, but he pulled up a picture of the dude, and he had on a Bulls hat. And the white guy goes and says, well, you know, typically, you know, when you wear a hat with an athletic team, that's gang affiliated, and it was a Chicago Bulls hat. And he said, you know, MS-13 members, that's how they show that their loyalty, or they represent MS-13. They wear Chicago Bulls hat. And then the dude said, well, why would he be wearing a Bulls hat if he is from Maryland? He's not in Chicago. I'm like, bruh, I almost dropped the word. Bruh, you know how many people, bruh, I ain't from New England, but you gonna see me rocking a New England Patriots hat. You know how many, bro, you don't have to live. He was like, why he don't have a Washington Wizards hat? First of all, the Wizards
trash. They trash.
First of all, they suck. But bro, how many people? And then he went on, was like, and I guarantee if you ask him the name people on the Bulls team, then he probably can't name anybody but Michael Jordan. And it's like, yo, dude, bro.
Can you name anyone on the Bulls besides Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Derrick Rose?
You treading a thin line, bro. And I see, I don't like when I hear people talk like that, because really, just say what you really want to say. You really on some racist type stuff.
Yeah.
Because just because you're going to sit here and say this man wearing a Chicago Bulls hat, he don't live in Chicago, he live in Maryland. Everybody, bro, you know how many people you see wearing hats from different, bro, you can go from anywhere in any state in this country. There's people that wear, there's a girl at my job, she love Alabama. She be wearing Alabama gear. She ain't from Alabama. Don't nobody look at her and say, you ain't from Alabama. Why are you wearing that?
I am a, recovering Raiders fan. Brother, Mark Davis and them been putting the boy through, but like, I don't live in Las Vegas. Cowboy fans, 49ers fans, Laker fans, Miami Heat fans, Golden State fans, Real Madrid, Like, what are we doing?
I am a fan of the international soccer team of Spain. And I don't live in Spain. So now if I walk around with that flag,
I'm calling ICE on you, man. Look, as soon as you put the jersey on.
But this is the thing that was crazy.
I got a Spaniard. I got a Spaniard. I'm doing a podcast with.
We got a black Spaniard here. About 5'11". Fit description. But the thing that was so tone deaf to me is that at one point in society, if you weren't so tone deaf, half of the world was Chicago Bull fans.
Half of the world.
Like, this is not a shock. You know, so for this man to not have a criminal record that we know of,
right,
to have not committed a crime, and because the Trump administration are basically pointing the finger saying, yeah, he ain't coming home, which is wild in itself.
Yep.
Then you want to spin the narrative that, oh, well, here's the signs that he is part of this gang. Like, bro, don't do that. Don't do that. Because there's a lot of these, a lot of kids that walk around with gear on that don't. There's a lot of white kids that love Steph Curry. They have on Warriors gear, so that's from the Bay. So are we gonna start saying now that some of these kids might be affiliated because they wearing Cali Bay gear? Are we starting to say that now? Like, come on, don't do that. I don't like that.
And to be honest, up until this week, some part of my brain was like, I don't know if Kilmar is still with us, and that this is a cover up until Chris Van is it Senator? Yeah, sorry, Senator Chris Van went down and finally got to see him. But like, what are y'all doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Let's make rational rules. Let's make rational rules.
Man, this man ain't coming home, bro. This man ain't coming home, bro. They're labeling this man a terrorist. The president of El Salvador refuses to release him, labeling him a terrorist. What has he done to be labeled a terrorist? You have the Trump administration ultimately just disregarding what the Supreme Court has told him to do. Yep. And the senator went down there. Now, I'm going to tell you right now. Hey, Chris, if you're listening, hey, you're a bold man, bro.
You bad man.
Ain't nowhere in the world you try to pull what that girl Onika did to them folks over in Pakistan, going down there talking to them people. Hey, you lucky you came back in one piece.
Look, it was very reminiscent for me of what that representative did in the 70s during all Jonestown when they went down to check on all those people from California. They got moved down to Jonestown, and he got down there, and the people of Jonestown had the heaters waiting on them. So right.
When I seen that, I'm like, all right, be careful.
Peace be the journey.
Go down there, check on who you want to, and you end up sitting beside him. You end up get on that double cot right across from him. Like, be careful, brother.
Looking left, looking right. Like, what? How
did we get here?
Him looking up like, I thought you came down here to help me,
bruh. Now I will say, let me correct myself because I got some new details that's coming in. It does appear that he does have a little bit of a criminal background. Nothing that we see. Well, he did have an incident with his wife, but again, and I'm not dismissing it, but that's not a cause for deportation. There are plenty of people that have domestic situations. He was stopped for a traffic violation in 2022 for expired driver license, which I ain't gonna say no names, but expired tags ain't nothing new.
Ain't nothing new, man. Ain't nothing.
And then apparently at that time, when he got stopped, they tried to throw this. This is okay. Now I'm starting to put pieces of the puzzle together. This is where the MS-13 affiliation. When he got stopped in 2022, they tried to allege that he was MS-13 affiliated. But when ICE was contacted, though, they declined to detain him and no charges were filed. So they looked at him and was like, nah, he's good. Like, so. Still, there's not enough here from a criminal. I know a handful of people that's done a lot worse than this man did, and if he getting deported for this, and even I heard them say it on CNN, if he's deported as a criminal, then why is he detained? Just release him in El Salvador.
Right.
Why is he detained?
Well, and I think some of that goes to the new deportation relationship between the U.S. and El Salvador, where right now they're taking people we're deporting under the agreement. The recent monthly deportation trends under the agreement saw in January about 2,500, February about 4,300, March about 5,900, and in for April's projected to be 6,200 people deported there. And what are our grounds? So if this is what we're doing, if this is what we're going to do, then what are the grounds for deporting? What is a deportable crime? And we need to make that clear.
Yeah, that needs to be. But again, that's kind of what we stated before. In all of this, what there needs to be clarity.
Clarity and consistency.
Because there is none. And that's why there's so much confusion. And I think that this sets up, and I think you talked about it in the previous episode, this is going to set up a legal battle within our country with what is and what isn't. And when you have right now the administration saying one way, and we have a Supreme Court deciding 9-0 the other way,
Right.
we're setting up for a serious legal match of who and what is to be, and that is uh, a gray area that I don't think we've ever been in before.
Nope.
And certainly, I don't want to be a part of the show to
I
witness how it plays out.
I do not want to be on this timeline no more.
I'm telling you, I don't know how this plays out, and I don't want to be here. Well, I want to be here, but I don't want to find out.
I want to be here.
Yeah.
And I want to find out because of my curiosity. I don't want to be subject to the ramifications of that finding out.
Yeah, I don't want to, bro. So, this is just crazy. I feel like this deportation thing is just going to get messier and messier because I feel like every week we're bringing something up about it. We still have heard that the 2 students on the campuses, but I don't believe they've been released. They're still sitting down in Louisiana. One guy is a U.S. citizen, which we talked about last episode. When is it going to start happening where we got actual U.S. citizens starting to be detained, and then you have a president saying that he's looking at exploring homegrown and how these born citizens can be deported too. And this is scary.
And the legal gymnastics. Bruh. So you can't deport a U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
So there have been questions out there about how the U.S. could even possibly do this. Mm-hmm. And something had emerged that, well, the U.S. could, take over part of this jail in El Salvador. So the jail that they would be housed in would technically be U.S. sovereign land. Man, then they're going to take that and lease it back to El Salvador to run it. I'm like, this is insane.
Bro, this is not a self-service storage facility. Like, bro, what do we... this sounds like some supply chain. We bought some space down there. We occupied so we could put our stuff down there.
And I want to be clear for our listeners where I'm at on this. Are there horrible people? Yes. But we as a country have said we are going to operate under a base standard of rules. Mm-hmm. that protect us and our citizens. And when we start talking about deporting U.S. citizens to other countries, that is a disservice to us. And I think, and we're seeing it all around, Auschwitz was not in Germany. It was in Poland. So it's getting real concerning that we are watching this history lesson in the fall of empires happening again.
Man.
Or at least the signs of it.
Yeah. This is definitely scary hours at this point, man. And hopefully this is not a moment of history repeating itself, but there seem to be some early indications that there's a possibility we could be seeing some of those things. So, man, it's just tragic. I just hope that there's some clarity in this. And, man, shout out to their families, man. At the end of the day, I can only imagine going through these situations and circumstances legally, emotionally, financially, representation that's needed. I mean, I can only imagine the toll that it can take on the family, and, it's just a lot. Right. So, just my thoughts are with those people as well too, because at the end of the day, these are families that are impacted. With the guy that we talked about, Mahmoud, his wife was pregnant, baby born. He wasn't there because he's detained. It's tragic, and hopefully there becomes some clarity to these situations so that we can get around it. So, with that being said, kind of in light of what I said with Mahmoud, our next topic is Trump versus Harvard University. So I just got a question before I start this topic. Do you believe that Trump is targeting all the universities that did not accept Barron's application?
Stop. I hadn't thought about that.
All the universities that said, Trump said, all right, bet, got you.
That might be it. That might be it.
I'm just saying, it seems very specific. Yeah. there ain't a real consistency to who he's picking. It just seems to be
Because it's not like it's all the Ivy League. Like, yeah, we're
nah,
going over Harvard, Yale,
yeah,
Princeton, Brown, oh God, Ithaca,
bruh.
um,
Cornell.
Cornell. Ooh,
Did
ooh,
he?
I can't.
Did he not go say something to do? I think he
Uh,
did try to say. I can't remember.
but it's very picky choosy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I mean,
Man, you can't take that out, bro. It's all. You said no DEI.
right.
Maybe that's why he mad, because DEI would have let Barron get in there.
It's starting to make sense. We started.
Hey,
We started.
hold on, hold on,
Hold on. Hit our theme music.
bro. Hold on. Where my music at? Where my music at? I gotta hit it.
That's what it is,
Bro, that's what it
gotta be
is.
it.
It's got to be it, bro. All the applications. He's sitting there with him on his desk, like, yep, this week is you. Bro, I don't know why that just came to my mind.
Bro, it's got to be at this point.
So, for our listeners, there's been an ongoing conflict between Harvard University and the Trump administration that has escalated into a significant legal and political battle over academic freedom, federal funding, and institutional autonomy. So, in this, Trump has. So we all know that there was a dispute that had intensified following there was a pro-Palestinian protest on Harvard's campus in response to what happened with the 2023 Gaza conflict. And the Trump administration accused Harvard of failing to address anti-Semitism and demanded sweeping changes. And in those demands, he said that he wanted to see basically the eliminating of DEI programs, implementing federal oversight of admissions and hiring practices. That's kind of wild.
Wow.
That is mad wild, bro. The federal government overseeing the imminent, bro. Nah, that's what he's trying to do. So he'd be like, you know what, slide Barron on in there. Tell him to transfer in the spring.
Right.
Restricting the administration of international students, which is wild, and dismantling certain student programs deemed politically problematic. Here we go again. Harvard's leadership under President Alan Garber, so shout out to Alan, rejected these demands, asserting that they infringed upon the university's independence and constitutional rights, which I gotta agree. So, of course, you know that didn't make Big Daddy Trump happy. So, in Harvard's defiance, Trump's administration took several actions. They froze over $2.2 billion in federal grants and $60 million in contracts. They threatened to revoke Harvard's tax-exempt status, and they considered barring the university from enrolling international students. So, this battle that he has with Harvard, just seems odd, man. That it seems, I think, in a way, outside of the conspiracy theory, is that it's almost like he's targeting all of these progressive or liberal universities.
Well, and Harvard has time. And like, shout out
Harvard
to
definitely got time.
Harvard has two of the biggest weapons that you can have in any battle: time and money. Because you know what Harvard's endowment size? $53 billion. So while $2 billion, I mean, it's not nothing. It's 5%. They're like, all right, cool, we can. But you know what else Harvard has? Rich alumni.
Oh, facts.
Like, oh, $2 billion? Ain't no problem. Where's my Shannon Sharp? Ain't no problem, Skip.
And no problem. Ain't no problem. Bro. But this whole notion, man, it kind of just reminds me, just like you have the attack on the media. What are you're trying to force institutions,
control dissent.
Yeah.
If you look at so if we step back to the civil rights movement, a lot of those movements were based off of kids, children, and college kids. So if you can stop movements at that place and places where some of these movements grow from, then you can really, because after you're out of college, like look at the time we had in college versus the time we had now. And we were busy.
Mm-hmm.
We were busy with organizations and classes and stuff, but I still look back and I'm like, man, at a random 2:00 in the afternoon, there were some days where I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't do that now as an adult. There's an autonomy that college students have that to be able to foster and call out change that your average working adult just doesn't have because of life.
Yeah.
So you control that. You control the places where they're able to speak out.
Mm-hmm. Then
you can almost get a hold of the movement and stop it if necessary.
But to me, it's a dangerous gamble because I'm going to call it oppression. You oppressing this level of where this growth, what we just talked about in the past election, how we know and we've seen how Bernie Sanders and AOC have been moving around. We understand that this age has the power to really invoke change going forward.
Yep.
And if you can oppress that keeps the agenda at bay of where you want it to be. But I think it's a major gamble because you could just piss off a lot of people and then they burn down the movement that you've created. I don't think that this preserves MAGA. I don't think this enables MAGA to move forward or whatever will be the movement after, because Trump said MAGA goes when he goes. But I don't see how this...
Only if he promises.
Bruh. Yes, right. But it's just this oppression of trying to change the agent of change, that people aren't able to have a voice, to have a place, to have a platform to invoke these things that make us America, really,
right.
in all honesty. And it's a dangerous gamble to play. And I say that, and I want to play you a clip, but first I want to say this. It is noted that with the legal challenges that come with this, that one of Trump's former appointed U.S. attorneys, Robert is representing Harvard in these legal matters. So someone that he appointed is representing Harvard in this, which, like you said, Harvard got time. But I saw a clip that over social media that I want to play that I thought was very interesting. And I wonder how much of this we're going to see from these universities. And this could be very detrimental to what Trump is doing.
Last night, the Faculty Senate at Michigan State voted that their school should join the other schools in the Big Ten in a totally non-sports related agreement. The faculty at Michigan State voted last night that their school should join with all the other schools in the Big Ten in what they're calling a mutual defense compact, a mutual academic defense compact. And what that means is kind of what it says. When Trump inevitably comes after one of the schools in the Big Ten, be it Michigan State or Rutgers or Ohio State or UCLA or USC or University of Washington or any of the other schools in that conference, the idea is that all the other schools would agree to help that school defend itself and fight back.
Bruh.
Bro, we're talking about an academic NATO.
Bruh. When I heard that, I was like, that's dangerous.
Because that makes this money wrong. That makes the money run a little bit longer.
Yep. But if you have you have the Big Ten schools that are doing this, how much more are these conversations going to start brewing? You think about it, when Trump starts going after more schools, like these Ivy Leagues, some of these schools have some major alumni with some big pockets that may say, look, if I stand by my university, if this is what they want to do, we're going to support them. And how will that implication of these academic natives, as you stated, will start hurting and harming the agenda that Trump's trying to push?
Well, and here's the funny part about all this, because to what you're saying, all of these schools also probably have alumni that are big donors to Trump in one way or another, because we saw with the situation at Harvard that on the 19th, there were reports that emerged. The White House claimed that the letter that they sent out on April 11th containing all the demands, it was an error and was not authorized. So I'm just like, So y'all just keep authoritarian emails fully written up on letterheads just sitting in your draft box?
Bruh,
Like what?
wow. Wow.
Here's the one thing that I've heard in corporate America they told people to do. If you get real fed up, write an email to your boss and get it all out your system. That sounds like a horrible idea.
That sounds like a very horrible idea. Because the way my muscle memory is set up, I'm going to hit send.
You better hope you got that 10-second delay.
Recall.
But this is like, this is going to get real interesting real fast, because it seems like these places are ready for battle. And at least that people had been, this is not something that comes out of the blue. This is not a out of the blue idea. This is we knew this time would come, that there was some person that all the faculty and alumni were calling crazy for coming up with these plans that we ain't never going to use. Yep. And he's like,
I got one.
See?
But he heard this and was like, I had this one idea that I just kept in my doomsday folder.
Right. This man walked into the office and knocked everything off the table and just threw a map down and said, this is what we're going to do.
By God, John, you got it. This might actually work. Bro, that is a wild idea, and I like it.
Bro, you're going to watch every school, every conference do it except maybe the SEC.
Oh, yeah, SEC ain't going to do that.
But yeah,
SEC cool. They cool. They cool with the agenda.
That's his boy.
Yeah,
them the boys.
But yeah, this is gonna get tricky. Hey, I like it, bro. I like it. And don't bend the knee. Fight. I like a good fight.
Now, I'm gonna vet this one out. We'll circle back on this one at a later pod.
Yep. But yeah, because I gotta imagine that once Trump get wind of this, the mastermind is gonna try to devise a plan.
Do something.
Now, bro, see, now my mind is thinking, could this just work in his favor at the end of the day? Because if they don't need the federal funding, we put the money back in the bucket. And we save money because they don't need our money. Yeah,
they don't need our money. They got each other's money. Now, instead of
depending on us, depend on y'all selves. Bruh, what? This is like a crazy episode of Pinky and the Brain.
I want to be off this timeline. This is not the timeline I signed up for.
It ain't, bro. But we'll see what happens. Right now, it's him in Harvard, and Harvard has time. So maybe, hey, we'll see what happens. But that is our end of the coverage of Trump versus Harvard. And Trump, if you're doing all this because Barron didn't get in, let the boys of the pod know. If you want to air out your grievances, a denial ain't that bad, bro. It's just not a not right now.
Right.
It's not a no. Right. He can always transfer.
Did he get a no, or did he get waitlisted? Like, because if you're doing all this because he got waitlisted,
yeah, you're wrong.
You wrong. You need to chill, man.
Yeah, you don't understand what waitlist meaning. Right. Like, no, he in. He just ain't in.
Right. He ain't in it.
But anyway, we are now at the episode, the point of our episode where we have a pickle of a week, and it's a short one, so I'm not gonna hold you long because it basically pickles itself.
We got your pickle. We got your pickle. We got your pickle.
All right.
Who's in the brine today?
The individual in the brine today is Gary Shapley. And this literally writes itself. I don't even have to give you any detail. I don't have to go into grave details about it. Gary was appointed to be the IRS commissioner.
Okay.
He got into the role on April 16th. He was removed from the role April 18th.
Grand opening, grand closing.
He had 48 hours with the title, 16 hours on the job, no login, no security badge, email wasn't changed, signature wasn't built, chair hadn't been delivered yet.
Bruh.
And
Bro, that's not even enough time to know where the good hidden bathroom is at the
Bruh.
office. You still just trying to figure out where you can get the good coffee. What floor has a good coffee maker?
Yep.
Bruh.
He never got to go on a corporate lunch. He never got to have the team meeting.
Bro, that corporate Amex, that IRS Amex ain't even get printed.
He didn't even get open teams. He never got the team because his login never got to him, man, bro. So with me saying that, he in a pickle because obviously he only lasted on the job 2 days. He was highly supported by Trump, but the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was like, heck no. He said,
who is this man?
I did not want this man, and I had no knowledge that y'all were hiring this man, which he was the IRS whistleblower, if I'm not mistaken, in the testimony regarding Hunter Biden's tax investigation. So, he already kind of come with a little bit of but yeah, Bessent was like, yeah, nah, I don't want him. Elon wants him, but I don't. And Trump said, all right, he's out.
Okay.
So I believe this is the first firing we have.
Yeah.
Of someone appointed by Trump.
Yeah, we might have. I really thought Pete was going to make.
Hey,
I didn't think he was going to make it. I thought Signalgate was going to take him down, even though there's at least 3 people, I believe, in the Department of Defense on leave over it. Dang.
So yeah, grand opening, grand closing. But I want to give a shout out to the IT team and the IT teams at all corporations, because sometimes y'all go through a lot of BS, and y'all go through all this work to probably set this man up. And by the time you got all his information, everything, his system ready to go, you went to that office and his nameplate was gone. There was no indent on the desk of where his family picture or portrait was. Everything was as if nobody was there. And you went through all of that work to get the security set up, to get all these things taken care of, and that happens to you guys a lot in the corporate world. So we want to give a shout out to the IT people, and we understand and we feel you that you do the hard work, and sometimes you feel like it doesn't get appreciated.
Not appreciated. Just know the boys of the pod. We love you,
and we appreciate all that our IT departments across America do. So that is my pickle of the week, Gary.
God. Hey, at least he's off before summertime. He can go enjoy the summer sun somewhere. Bro, he ain't got to be in the office.
I ain't never known somebody they work 48 hours, bro. Bro, man, they give him a paper check.
Right. Ain't gonna set up no direct deposit for this.
First of all, I ain't even paying you for them 2 days because I know you ain't do nothing. You ain't had no login. You ain't do nothing. You just walk around all
we're chatting with people. Hey, yeah, I'm the new director.
How do you file that on your taxes,
bro? This man, he ain't even have time to update his LinkedIn,
bro. The tax information didn't even make it to HR, bro, before they this man worked free for 48 hours, bro. Hey, matter of fact, Gary, if you listen to the pod, we want you to come over here and let us.
You to come on.
I want to know what you did for them 2 days, bro. I got to know because I already know in the corporate world. I already know how them higher ups be operating. Y'all really don't be doing no work. So I know that you won't doing nothing, right. But you can come tell us what you did not do here on the pod, and we'd love to have you.
We'd love to have you, Gary.
And what's the beef between you and Bessent? Because I know right now you gotta hate that man because he just got you outside your job. Y'all better stop following behind Elon.
You took his girl, didn't you?
Had to, bro. Had to.
To not even give you 48 hours to okay, well maybe let's see how this goes.
Homie came over to the office to give somebody some paperwork and saw that name on that door and said, wait a minute.
I know it's not him.
Oh no, I gotta go talk to Trump about this. Bro, he walked over to Trump expeditiously.
Power walked.
Bro, had them elbows in the wind. He got to go.
And him. It's either him or me.
Yep.
It ain't gonna be me.
And the decision was made. So shout out to Gary, man. You in a pickle, bro. You got to find something. And need something to do while you finding it, you can come talk to the boys here at the pod. Yeah. So that is the end of our episode. And as you guys always know, at the end of the episode, we give you our spotlights of the week. So my brother, what is your spotlights for, or spotlight for the week?
Well, again, I won't hold y'all long because I think we'll be talking about this next week. But the first off, the IMF World Bank spring meetings are happening in Washington, D.C. So I expect to hear some fallout from this last 2 weeks of economic turbulence that we've been going through. But the one that I think we're actually going to talk about is the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Is this week.
Where I invited.
Bro, thank you. We'll work on it for next year. And why I like to call out this is because, you know what? If Donald Trump hadn't attended that one correspondence dinner, and if Obama, again, all the issues we're dealing with right now are Obama's fault. Obama ain't have to cook him at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Bro, hey, that man alive, bro.
It cooked him, and now look at us.
Bro.
Now look at us. But what's interesting about this year's Correspondents' Dinner is that the Trump administration is boycotting the dinner and is reportedly having an alternative event called the First Lady Tribute. Now, at this point, no one knows what this is. So I'm very intrigued to see how this plays out. But that is my spotlights of next week.
Bruh.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we're going to circle back on that.
We'll see what happens.
Well, bro, my spotlight of the week, I just want to bring to our listeners' attention. We may potentially have the first fail of campaign promises that Trump has made in his administration. As you all know, one of the promises he made is that on day one, he would end the war between Ukraine and Russia. But it has been
in 24 hours.
In 24 hours, he'd get it done. Well, it was reported by Marco Rubio, but that we may be at the position where the U.S. may be walking away from talks in peace negotiations because it appears that they may not be able to get a deal done.
Well, I don't know. So, Putin declared an Easter ceasefire. So starting Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern time, all the way to Monday, essentially Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern time, that hey, we're gonna set our guns down. We are going to not shoot.
Okay. Okay.
I was like, Putin, are you setting them up that on Sunday at 5:01?
Yep. It's on and popping.
They're gonna drop those missiles at 4:59.
Bruh, I'm telling you. But I think that we may potentially promises is not happening. If we're walking away from it, could that be our first sign of a campaign flop?
Here we go.
We shall see. And another thing I just want to make mention of is that it's been reported, and we've talked about it before, as far as how Trump's trade war is going and how he's trying to reshape trade globally. That China has been on the move. They're willing and dealing to take that number one spot in the globe as the number one trade partner. So they're moving around. They're willing and dealing with a couple of people, and this may potentially be a dangerous situation for the U.S. to be in. So something to keep our eyes on as well too. But so far, I don't think that. Do we get any executive orders written this week? It seems like the Sharpie ink is coming down a little bit.
I didn't look, but I'm almost certain we are, because he's been writing 2 a day since he got into office.
Well, talks are starting to calm down, so I think that we may be in that period where people may start to see, like, okay, all right, all the excitement and the all that stuff is calming down. Everything, the cake is starting to set in now.
Yep.
How good did you really bake this pound cake?
Not good at all.
It's cooled down a little bit. It's about to be bland.
It's about to be trash.
Platt, disgusting. So we will see. So those are my spotlights for the week. So we'll see what happens. As we always say here, by the time that we release this, there could be something that happens and changes, and we'll be right back in a situation again.
Because the schedules, we're recording this a little bit earlier than we normally would. So who knows?
Who knows, man?
The one thing This is an exciting time of the year for both of us, as well as the NBA, NHL playoffs.
Oh yeah,
have kicking off. Geez, how you feeling about your Magic?
Hey man, I'm a little stressed out. The boys, man, we just got to play our game, man. You know, we're going against the Celtics. We've played the Celtics before, so very familiar opponent in the East. But we aren't quite playing our basketball, but we're getting there. We've had a significant amount of injuries, and we're out one of our key players. But hey, the Magic, since we've drafted Pablo Banchero, in his 3 seasons, we have made the playoff 2 seasons in a row.
Okay.
So,
all right, there we go.
We're making it to the playoffs. We've made it. We just haven't got past the first round. But hey, the tide is turning.
There we go.
We're getting there. So hey, how you feeling about your boys, man, when it comes to NHL, man? Man,
I'm a big Colorado Avalanche fans. Yeah. And Saturday they take on the Dallas Stars in round 1.
Okay.
It's going to be a tough one. Okay. But all I had to say is, you can look at the stars, you can travel to Mars, or you can eat candy bars. Avs in 5. Avs in 5.
Hey man, shout out to the Avalanche, man. Hopefully, a good series against Dallas. Yeah. And then, man, I love this time of year because it lets me know that we're on the cusp of warm weather, getting outside, the family and the kids getting together. So it's a good time, man. So shout out to those sports teams, and whatever sports team you celebrate. And if you don't have one, just enjoy the competition, man.
Unless your team is facing one of our teams, then I wish nothing but bad luck. Nothing but bad luck for you guys.
So with that being said, that is the conclusion of our episode. We want to thank you for listening, tuning in. As always, like, share, follow, spread the word of Pardon the Politics. We hope that you enjoy the content we deliver, as we keep striving to give you the politics with a little bit of laughter behind it. So if all hearts and minds clear, man, you good, brother?
I'm good.
I'm good as well.
If no one lets you know, if you don't feel loved, just know the boys here at the pod, we love y'all.
We love y'all. Happy Easter. Enjoy the time with your family. And we will see you the next episode. Take care, world.